Battlehawk fans, what's up? We finally came to day one. We got our quarterback selection. I'm really excited. Got two really special quarterbacks. A.J. McCarron is not here today, but really excited about what he's going to bring to the table for his team. And then we got this guy, Ryan Willis, big-time arm, big-time player, super smart. I think you're really going to love him. He's got family in Missouri. He's excited to get out there. What do you got to say to the St. Louis Battlehawk fans?
Man, I'm fired up. This is the best fan base in the XFL. Hashtag fill the top.
That's it. Fill the top. Get those tickets. We'll see you soon.
You know, the type of offense, we're going to run an air raid offense. And so part of our criteria was certainly quarterbacks that would be versatile enough to play in that. Brandon Silvers played in that offense and did real well. Caleb Ellerby is a guy that can also play in that offense, but he's the Wildcat guy. He can run with it. He scored like 23 touchdowns rushing. I mean, so we've got kind of a dual threat there with both those guys.
What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. This is a little special. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub, your spring football media guru, your alt football. Really, I should just call it alt football. Spring alt football media guru. On this week's show, your reactions to the XFL QB assignments. We're going to go over all of them in the show, plus special guest, DC Defenders head coach Reggie Barlow, and new quarterback of the DC Defenders, Eric Dungey. Yes, everybody in the alt football space loves Eric Dungey. When I heard his name announced, my wife was like, "Why are you yelling?" It was because Eric Dungey, I yelled at a couple ones when I was like, "Oh!" But we'll get into all that and so much more. So remember, if you like football, then subscribe to this channel. Let's get this sucker up to 80 likes. Hit that notification bell to get alerted when we post new content or when we go live. So if you're new to the channel, we've been doing this since 2019. We're on 165 episodes, keeping the lights on for you during the XFL's dark era. I mean, we were 2020, rocking and rolling. The dark era came, and then we were back. But we've been here the whole time. So we are excited to be there. So Tuesday, we've got the live show. Tomorrow, on the XFL draft day, all day live draft coverage, special guests stopping by. We'll do a recap show Wednesday night, kind of just recapping the day's events. Thursday, we'll also do a recap of the whole week, then take a break. Hopefully my voice stays. And it's with we got XFL News Hub reporters, special guests, and so much more. Also, on tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2 is Path to the XFL Draft. You're going to want to check that out. Did you see the promo clip where they did reference XFL News Hub in the 1-minute promo clip? It was very cool. Appreciate the shout out there from our friends at the XFL. We have a good relationship with them, so that was really cool. Appreciate that. So that's what we got going on. Plus, we got a couple other little news tidbits for today we want to go over. But if you want to be part of the show, email podcast@XFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on the show tomorrow, or leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 3. That's right, because we were going to be live for a long time doing the show. Now, usually we are live. XFL Week in Review are live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. We weren't live yesterday because I had a family event, but we were able to get Brandon Anderson, Mike Mitchell. He told you, if you were watching the show yesterday, XFL Insider Mike Mitchell told you Kyle Slaughter, he told you about Luis Perez, and they were picked up today. He told you. You just got to pay attention. He told you. You can also download the show on Apple Podcasts, the MP3 format, Stitcher, Audible, Player FM, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and, of course, Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We really appreciate that. That helps spread the word about what we're doing over here. Timeline. Today is November 15th. We got the QB assignments. We'll get into that tomorrow. And the next day, XFL Draft, January 9th. XFL training camp begins. So it's got to be between December 31st and January 9th is when we have that supplemental draft kickoff, February 18th, 2023, and 94 days from XFL kickoff. Do you believe that? you believe that, my friends? It is crazy, crazy, crazy. What you heard in the beginning was Anthony Beck and Brian Willis, go Hokies, and as well as Wade Phillips talking about his offensive scheme, etc. Those are things that happened today. But what we got, we'll cover what happened with the QB assignments. We've got a couple other news tidbits, and then we'll get into our interviews with Reggie Barlow and Eric Dungey. And then we are just beginning. This is just the beginning, my friends. What's up to everybody in the chat room? Nicholas checking in. Appreciate you hanging out there. Also, we want to welcome all of our new friends that are just getting involved with the XFL. I know a lot of people are just kind of like, what is this thing? And really kind of get involved with the XFL now. And so we're pretty excited to have you guys come on board. It is an open community. It's a fun community, welcoming community. We'll put it that way. So it's all good. Also, a lot of people are going to start asking about fantasy football. Fantasy football. And we've got that covered for you as well. I have to pull that up, so I will do that. I forgot two things. I will pull up now. Is News Hub Fantasy? That's where you can play fantasy football, and leagues are forming right now. Reddit. And also, let me pull up Reddit. Here it is. Okay, so first up on the docket is playing fantasy football, because everybody's going to be wanting to play XFL fantasy football. You can do that. News Hub Fantasy leagues are forming now. You can sign up, create an account, create your league. You can set the settings, all that kind of good stuff. That's on the newshubfantasy.com. Also, we want you to join the alt football community on Reddit, because I think the alt football community is strong. It's been around forever. It's something that we've called ourselves for years. And now we kind of have a singular home on Reddit. It's got all of our XFL News Hub, including everybody else. Anybody who's got posts and stuff is more than welcome to put it, as long as this is all about promoting the alt football space. So you're going to want to head over to alt football on Reddit. All right, I got all of those things in. So let's see, what else do I have going on? So we talked about draft coverage all day. Path to the draft tonight with the little thing from little blurb with XFL News Hub, which was really cool. Subscribe to the channel, smash the like button. We've got that. We've said hello to everybody in the chat room. We appreciate you guys stopping by. So without further ado, let's just get into the week, the crazy day in alt football sports. Between the USFL announcements of Memphis, we had the CFL All-Stars coming out today. The Grey Cup is this week. It was just been a nutty day, and tomorrow's going to get even crazier. We're actually going to have players super excited about that. And I want your reaction in the chat room. Message us in the chat room. Let us know what you think, or in the comments about what did you think about all the QBs getting picked, the QB assignments. Who do you think is going to be the starter? A lot of teams had two quarterbacks and some had one. So who are you going to think who do you think the starters will be? We'd like to hear from you and all about that stuff. So without further ado, let's just get into the latest. Not the week, the latest in the XFL. We have quarterbacks. The XFL teams made their selections, some really interesting names. So XFL head coaches today announced their quarterback selections during a live stream event on XFL.com, as well as their YouTube, hosted by VSN and ESPN talent Stormy Bonatoni. And here you have it. Are you ready? Arlington Renegades select Drew Plitt, Ball State. Kyle Sloter, Northern Colorado. Yes, that Kyle Sloter from the USFL. Now remember, how is he able to do this? Because he got an NFL tryout, released from his contract, and now he was able to sign with the XFL. DC Defenders, America's team, my team. Now remember, Derek King just signed with the Carolina Panthers, so his name was not selected. Allegedly, rumor has it that he was going to be picked up by the DC Defenders, but the DC Defenders get Eric Dungey from Syracuse, a huge of the alt football community. So Eric Dungey makes his way to the DC Defenders. Notice no Cardell Jones, who had tried out for the XFL. Houston Roughnecks, Caleb Ellerby, Western Michigan, and Brandon Silvers returns to the XFL from Troy. So he played with the Dragons. Now he is with the Houston Roughnecks. There was a connection, I believe Mike Mitchell had mentioned, between him and the GM of the Houston Roughnecks. Vegas Vipers, Jalen McClendon and Luis Perez. Jalen McClendon from Baylor, Luis Perez, Texas A&M Commerce. Same thing, like Kyle Sloter, released from his contract with an NFL tryout, turns around and signs with the XFL. Luis Perez will now be as a Las Vegas Viper. Orlando Guardians on the clock. They set Quentin Dormandy from Central Michigan and DeAndre Francois from Hampton. Francois is notable for his play in Fan Control Football League, and Quentin Dormandy was a name that from Michigan, Central Michigan, that had come up recently, different from Mike Mitchell's reporting. San Antonio Brahmas get Jawan Pass from Prairie View A&M and Anthony Russo from Michigan State. Anthony Russo was a newer name. Jawan Pass was something that Mike Mitchell had been reporting since September. Seattle Sea Dragons, Ben DiNucci from James Madison. DiNucci's name came up in the ESPN articles this past week. Steven Montez from Colorado was the other selection. Montez's name was on Mike Mitchell's list going back a couple months. And finally, the St. Louis Battlehawks. Cacaw is the law. Who is your quarterback? A.J. McCarrion from Alabama and Ryan Willis from your Hokies, Virginia Tech. Ryan Willis, the spring league quarterback, that the final, I think it was the final spring league championship, played really well in the spring league. So Ryan Willis from Virginia Tech and A.J. McCarron from Alabama are your St. Louis Battlehawks quarterbacks. We will have more on this news as it continues on XFL News Hub, but for a recap, Arlington Renegades select Drew Plitt and Kyle Sloter. DC Defenders, Eric Dungey. We think Derek King will be on that list if he ever, when dealing with his NFL situation. Caleb Ellerby and Brandon Silvers are Houston Roughnecks. Las Vegas Vipers, Jalen McClendon and Luis Perez. Orlando Guardians, Quentin Dormandy and DeAndre Francois. St. Antonio Brahmas, Jawan Pass and Anthony Russo. Seattle Sea Dragons, Ben DiNucci and Steven Montez. St. Louis Battlehawks, A.J. McCarrion and Ryan Willis. Those run out the quarterbacks selected by the XFL coaches. We now have quarterbacks in our league. Quarterbacks. Some of them return. Some of them, a lot of them new. Again, we still have the supplemental draft taking place in January, which could have more USFL quarterbacks as part of that, plus NFL quarterbacks. So these guys showed up, so it looks like they'll all be under contract. We're hearing rumblings that a lot of these teams might take 3 quarterbacks or even 4. So stay tuned to XFL News Hub for all this news. And as we continue to cover the draft on you, make sure you like and subscribe. Subscribe to this channel and get all the XFL news in one spot. XFL hopeful QB Derek King gets an NFL shot and will join the Carolina Panthers. So Derek King's pro football journey has taken up a little pleasant right turn in the road to being professional. King, who was originally supposed to be going to the DC Defenders today, is now joining his second NFL team, the Carolina Panthers. Ironically, is replacing PJ Walker on the Panthers, who utilized his opportunities in the XFL to showcase his skill set, in which he spent the last 3 seasons with. So Aaron Wilson talks about the Carolina Panthers signing Derek King to their squad. King puts up some record numbers during his time in college. throwing for over 8,000 yards, 76 passing touchdowns. He also added another 2,500 yards and 35 touchdowns on the ground and receiving throughout his collegiate career. Unfortunately, despite his college success, King could not find a home for long in the NFL. He spent 12 days with the Patriots in May before getting cut prior to camp. Since then, King has been linked to the XFL, spending weekends with Jordan Palmer and the XFL hopeful QBs. King has been in the public eye for the last couple of years as he was a star at Houston and Miami, who many thought would eventually be an NFL quarterback. Unfortunately for King, his journey has been less than linear in an effort to procure an NFL contract. For King, the timing is slightly ironic, as the XFL draft and QB designation selection took place today, with the DC Defenders losing their designated QB1 or QB2, Eric Dungey. Head coach Reggie Barlow will be going into Tuesday with a new plan for the franchise. For we all know the high volatility of the NFL regarding turnover, King may find himself back in the XFL as soon as PJ Walker gets healthy. However, today, King is an NFL quarterback, earning an NFL paycheck for at least this week. So we had to wait. His name wasn't announced and it was funny because ESPN said 13 players will be getting picked. Then Derek King signs with the Carolina Panthers, and then the next day, another ESPN article came out and said that 12 were being selected, and I think we all know why. XFL co-owner and chairwoman Dany Garcia's signature will be on XFL footballs. The XFL made the following announcement in regards to its football for the 2023 season. XFL co-owner and chairwoman Dany Garcia's signature will be on the ball. She also did an interview on ESPN about the whole being her signature on the football. Allow us to introduce our XFL football, especially for many reasons, but most making history with Dany Garcia. Her signature as our chairwoman is the first female signature on a professional football league's ball. Garcia has been known to drop hints on Instagram, and last night she had a video of her writing her signature, and now we know what it meant, because it was like, what are you doing? Why are you writing a signature? That's weird. Now, this ball looks different from the XFL 2.0 era. Remember, it was a little bit different. The old ball was described as the points of each football is wrapped in the X marks in white and the team's primary color. This design allows receivers to track the ball easier. Patent pending X Pebble grip technology will help players control the ball with a feel that enables a tight spin on throws and also allows ball carriers to enhance their ball security. Now, the XFL 2.0 era spent a lot of time developing game ball for football with football manufacturer Team Issue based in Dallas. And based on the press release, they could be working on this new ball as well. They put out a video with Landry Jones checking out the ball. So in the press release, it says the XFL today debuted its official league ball, which features the signature of Dany Garcia, XFL chairwoman and the first woman to own a major U.S. professional sports league. Quote, when Dwayne Jerry and the executive team came to me about putting my name on the official league ball, I was both honored and humbled, said Garcia, chairwoman and owner. As a lifelong football fan, I recognize the acknowledgement and trust that accompanies an ask like this. It inspires within me an even deeper personal commitment to our players, our coaches, our fans, our staff, to our league. This moment will live in my mind forever, close quote. The ball's sleek design with a suede finish and ProTrack Plus silver laces reflects the timeless, modern look of the XFL brand, yet remaining authentic to the game of football. The silver logo incorporates the league's new permagraphic logo technology, allowing for a foil-like appearance with no flaking or enhanced durability of the graphic. Okay, that's cool. Quote, to see the chairwoman's signature on our new XFL ball is very cool and historic moment in the sports and professional world, said Dwayne Johnson, XFL owner. It's a reflection of our empowering XFL culture we created, as well as a testament to Dany and her continued drive and passion to take this league to the next level, which in turn paves the way for more women within the professional football industry. It's an honor to support Dany in this groundbreaking moment. I can't wait to see some great football played with this iconic ball. Jerry Cardinale founder and managing partner at Redbird Capital Partners, he's a super busy guy, said having a ball that features the signature of the first female owner of a pro sports league is tremendous representation of the XFL and the league of opportunity we're building, close quote. Russ Brandon, XFL president, added, it's an honor to work alongside Danny in helping build this league, and it's only fitting to celebrate this historic moment and her passion for the game in this symbolic way. So each football will be handcrafted in Dallas, Texas from start to finish with top grain cowhide leather that is sourced domestically in the U.S. and matches the same specifications and supplier as current footballs used by college and professional players. So they're not going to mess around with any of that. And then they go on to talk about draft week and following the XFL draft, et cetera, et cetera. So pretty cool. Danny Garcia gets her signature on the ball. It is different from the ball that you can buy. You currently can't buy this ball on the XFL shop. I know that as soon as I can, I will. One of the things, there was some speculation based on what was on the XFL shop.xfl.com, was that there was colored balls of the teams. And I thought maybe it would be cool if each team had its own ball color, but it looks like it's just traditional football with the XFL and Danny Garcia's. What's really good, what makes it unique is Danny Garcia's signature as chairwoman on the ball. So that's what's coming up that will be used, and it will not be similar to the 2.0 era, which they spent a lot of time working on. All right, we'll take a quick commercial break and be right back with our interviews with DC Defenders head coach Reggie Barlow and new quarterback Eric Dungey right after this. Stay tuned, my friends. What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today. All right, friends, we are with Reggie Barlow, head coach of the DC Defenders. Coach, thanks so much for being on the program.
Mark, thanks for having us on, man. Excited.
I know you're a busy guy, so let's just get right into it. So how does it feel to finally be able to talk to a player, coach a player after all this time with the announcements and you getting announced as a coach? How does it feel?
Man, it's awesome, Mark. I tell you, it seemed like it's been forever. We've gone around the country from Maine to Spain, man, looking for football players. And to know that we've watched so many guys, and now it's coming down to possibly having 50 to 60 guys that are our guys, and it starts with Eric Dungey. So I'm excited about that.
So take us through the process of picking somebody like Eric Dungey. Why did you go with him? What is it about his game that you like?
Yeah, so when he was at Syracuse, I mean, he had an outstanding career. I mean, there were times where Eric mentioned this kid with some of the top quarterbacks in the country. He's a dual threat guy, big guy. Normally, you see the dual threat guys be in that 6'1", 6'2" range, but he's a 6'3", 6'4" guy. Can really spin it. Had some quarterback runs in college where he, was able to get things done. He can make all the throws. His football intelligence, IQ is really good. He's a leader. He knows what it looks like to be a leader and be the face of a program.
So he has some experience with the XFL, the 2.0 era, with Bob Stoops a little bit. Did any of them, did you talk to Stoops or any of the people within the XFL about bringing him on to the DC Defenders?
Yeah, we didn't talk directly to Stoops, who's, by the way, is just an amazing coach, amazing guy, and he's been one of the guys that I've really tried to latch on since I've been awarded this position. But didn't really reach out to him. But we knew if he had a guy like that on his team, then obviously this kid had the skill set and everything else that you would want in a quarterback and as a player on your team.
So now that you have the draft is up next, and you've built college programs before, what's it like going to build a pro program this go around? I mean, you're starting from scratch. There's you,
Right.
your staff, Eric Dungey, and that's it.
Right on. Yeah. I tell you what, having guys like Von Hutchins, who is our director of player personnel, Greg Williams, who obviously has been a head coach in the NFL. He's our defensive coordinator. Just having those guys and our assistant coaches, knowing what we want each room to look like from a skill set, from a height, weight, demeanor, all that stuff. These guys have done a really good job. We've casted our net, as I mentioned, over and watched a lot of guys, and we know what we want that to look like. And very similar to building a program in college. I mean, it starts up front. All right, you got to have people that's going to protect. Well, it starts with your quarterback, but you got to have people that's going to protect them. You got to have edge rushers. So we feel like we've found a lot of those guys that we'll have on our board, and then hopefully they'll be available for us when it's our time to pick.
Yeah. So speaking of your pick, how excited were you when you got the first pick in the draft? I mean, there's pressure now because is this going to be the top offensive player on your in the league? How did you feel when you got named the first pick in the draft?
I was like, "Are you bleeping me? Like, are you serious?"
Well, the defenders of the past, they also had the first pick, and they took Rashad Davis, who wound up
Right.
signing with the Tennessee Titans or something like that, and
Right.
never played it down in the XFL. So now that you have the first pick, is there any pressure on you, or are you excited about having that pick?
Yeah, no really pressure. I mean, we like to say we apply pressure, we don't feel pressure. So we're gonna take we're gonna take the guy that we feel like brings us the most stability at his position, a guy that can contribute on a high level. Obviously, a guy that's gonna have to be able to speak and talk to media coverage and all that stuff because he will be the first pick. So our coaches, our director of player personnel, we've done a really good job of vetting all these guys that we're planning on drafting, and we feel good about it.
So, I mean, would you say you've watched more game tape for players? I mean, we talked about the player pool, 1,700 players or more. Have you seen more game tape and player tape now than you ever did in your whole college career? I mean, that's a ton of guys that you're evaluating for
And
this season.
you said it right, Mark. It is a lot of guys. And yes, it is. I tell you, recruiting in college, obviously you have to look at a lot of guys, but more times you're watching their highlight tapes. And every once in a while you can go back and, watch a guy game tape or something. But with this being on a professional level, you're able to go into catapult and you're able to pull up game film, you're able to pull up targets as a receiver, just whatever you need. And we've sat and watched a lot of tape through Zoom. We've sat and had meetings at coaching retreats and watched film. So yeah, it has been a lot. It has been a lot, and we'll continue to do it up until it's time for draft.
How much did you rely on any of the analytic data? I know that you guys had a company come in and I cannot remember the name right now, but doing all that data analytics and player, is that factor in your decision for some of these things, looking at some of that data? It's kind of a new way of approaching picking players.
Yeah, it was we used some of that stuff early on, but then at the end of the day, we talk about trusting your eyes. A lot of these guys have been around professional sports, college sports, and you know what you like in a player, you know what a solid player looks like on film. So obviously that, but the other part of it was having those intimate conversations with those guys about what have they been doing, the last 6 months or whatever. Have they been training? Are they in shape? What's been their mindset when they play football? So it's been a combination of all of those things. And again, I can't thank our coaching staff and our director of player personnel, Vaughn, for really leading this thing. He's been in the NFL for a long time. He knows what this part of it looks like, and he's done a good job of really building us a solid board of really good players that we'll be able to bring that DC will be proud of.
And so, what kind of style of football player are you looking for in this draft? Without giving things away, because tomorrow, I know everybody wants to keep secrets before what they're going to do before a draft. But kind of, what's your ideal guy that you're looking for this for the DC Defenders?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, just mindset is everything. We talk about mindset, skill set, and then scheme, but it starts with the mind. You want a guy that loves football. You want a guy that's tough-minded, that have experienced adversity before and then tuck his tail and stayed in the fight. And then, of course, you go to the skill set. A guy that, depending on the position, offensive line guys, tackles, you want 6'4" and up, all right? And, 285, 300 pounds. And every position, we have a profile of what we want that kid to look like. But, again, it starts with mindset. It starts with, are you a tough guy? Do you love football? Are you willing to compete? Have you overcame adversity at some point in your life? And will you be really invested into the team concept, the family concept? And are you ready to defend DC?
All right. And the final question is, in order to get Eric Dungey to be on board, did you have to tell him about the beer snake? Was that a recruiting tool for you, for some of these guys?
Oh, yeah. We've talked about not just with him, but many of the guys that we've talked with throughout this whole process that we think if they're available, we'll take them. We've talked about that. Many of them have gone and YouTubed it and watched it and just they can't believe it. I mean, it's, they can't believe it. So we're hoping to break a record this year, so we can stack those cups.
Yep. So fans are excited. We definitely Eric Dungey is a known commodity in the alt football space. So DC is definitely super excited to have you as a coach and super excited to have Eric Dungey as our quarterback. So I appreciate your time and good luck in the draft tomorrow.
Yes, sir, Mark. Thank you, man, so much. Go DC.
All right. All right, we're here with Eric Dungey, selected as the quarterback of the DC Defenders. Eric, thanks for coming on the program.
Of course, Ken. I'm super excited for this opportunity and excited to talk about some DC Defender football.
All right. So what made you decide to return to the XFL? I knew you had a stint in Dallas before, but what made you decide to give it a try this go round?
Yeah, I had some opportunities in Canada and some of these other leagues that have popped up, but I was really waiting on the XFL. I knew it was coming back, had a lot of fun in it back in 2020 when I was in Dallas. And, just getting behind Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia, it was kind of a no-brainer from that standpoint. So was in talk with some of the teams and then Coach Barlow and Coach Keiss. And I'm excited to be here, like I said, and just ready to play some football. And they're running a similar offense to what I ran up in Syracuse. So really excited to go back to the roots and show what I can do again.
So what was your reaction when you heard Dwayne Johnson bought the XFL after, going through everything with COVID and the league shutting down? And even though things felt like things were on the up and up with the XFL, it was kind of like all hope was lost. And then all of a sudden, The Rock buys the XFL and Danny Garcia. What was your reaction when you saw that?
Oh, I was pumped. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Dwayne Johnson, all his movies that he does, everything that he does for communities. But to be behind a guy like that, it's incredible. He knows firsthand. He wears the 54. He was cut from a team. He understands the pain that it has, and just the hard work that it takes to get back to that point, and giving us another opportunity to show. At the end of the day, it's really for the love of football, and it's what we want to do is play. And I've been talking to some of the quarterbacks here, and they're all great guys, and they're in the same boat as me. They just want to play football, and that's what it's all about.
So what is it like working? You decided to go with DC and work with Reggie Barlow. What did you like about him as your head coach?
Oh, just, he's obviously just a very high character guy. And I got a lot of respect for him. And I've been catching up with him briefly while I'm here. And he's, again, just can't say enough good things about him. And he's going to demand perfection. I can already tell that. But from that standpoint, he believes in me. And that's all I really need. When someone believes in me, I want to give everything I can to them and prove them right. So it's a good way to start off.
So since you've been around the first iteration, XFL 2.0 era, now you're part of the XFL 3.0 era. Is there any kind of similarities or differences you've noticed so far? I mean, this is still new, up and coming, but any kind of differences?
I would say the difference is I feel like this is just, not the XFL 2.0 was very structured, but this just feels, like a really, work in production. And I think they've done a phenomenal job. They've had, a year and a half to basically plan everything. I think they got a great business plan. They got a lot of people behind them, some exciting TV, deals that they have in the making. And it's a lot of good hype around it. And I think they rebranded really well. And, obviously with Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia, it's easy to get behind people like that as your leaders. So again, it's just a really exciting time for XFL and all the guys who got picked up today and who are going to get picked up tomorrow and the next day.
Yeah. So speaking of the draft, now that you're the quarterback, are you telling the coaching staff like, hey, these are the type of wide receivers I would like, or this is the type of offensive line? Have you kind of given your 2 cents into this draft that's going to happen over the next 2 days?
Yeah, I've definitely given my 2 cents. They've asked me for my opinion as well. So I've listed a couple of guys that we'll see if they get taken tomorrow, and I'll be excited if they do. But I got a lot of faith in these coaches, and they've been doing a lot of research on some guys from the hub spots that they've been doing and these little satellite camps that have been going on. So they see the talent out there, and they're going to put the best people on the field together. And hopefully they're wearing that red and playing for DC here.
There you go. Now, what can fans expect from your game? How would you describe your game to fans that don't know you from Syracuse? How would you describe your game?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people didn't even know I was playing football anymore. And for me, I've always I've loved the game. I love to win. I love to lead by example. So for me, I just play with a lot of passion, and everything I can do, I do everything in my power to win. Whether it be running the ball, throwing the ball, or putting the guys in the best position. And for me, I just want to have fun out there, and then just give the fans something to root for. At the end of the day, it's for the fans and it's for the fan base, and you want to obviously win for them and make it an enjoyable and entertaining game for them.
So speaking of the fan base, so clearly you were part of the 2.0 era, so you know about the beer snake and how important that is. Yep. So when you were coming to DC, what's your thoughts? Are you going to participate on the beer snake that first game, or what are your thoughts on that?
Participate in the beer snake. I would say the first beer's on me, and then we'll get the thing going. So yeah, I'm excited. I definitely saw that from the XFL 2.0, and that's a fun tradition that's going to carry over for 3.0. And yeah, I would love to contribute to that.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate your time, Eric. Congratulations on being part of the DC. Now you're part of the Washington, DC area, and so we can't wait to see you and the team hit the field in 2023. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Great. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right.
Fan-controlled football. You heard that right. Fan-controlled football. A real football league with real players controlled by real fans. All in real time. Register to try out at fcf.io.
All right, my friends, we are back. Once again, we want to thank Coach Reggie Barlow and new quarterback Eric Dungey of your America's team, the DC Defenders. One of our friends there at the all football space, I forget his name, he was telling me that stop calling the DC Defenders America's team. And he talked about cacaw. And that is the cacaw is the law. And that is America's team should be the Battlehawks. And I said, no. America's team is DC Defenders, but I have on good authority, based on inside sources within the highest form of government, that cacaw is in fact the law. I have heard that from the highest sources in the state government, that they have confirmed that cacaw is the law, but DC Defenders is America's team. Just want to point that out. I've been saying that since I started doing this podcast. All right, let's get into your questions on the chat. What's up, everybody in the chat room? Nicholas says, let's go Renegades. Also glad to see Nucci land in Seattle. Yeah, that was a name that kind of came, that was kind of shocking. That was a new name that was not out there. He also says, I also think it's funny USFL came out with a bunch of announcements today as well to try and overshadow the XFL. Yo, yeah, man. We all know. It's game on, man. This is the spring football wars is upon us. That was definitely, because we'll continue with what else that happened. So Nicholas also says, I think Kyle will start for Arlington, but Plitt will be in the waiting for his shot. Yes, Kyle Sloter, Luis Perez getting signed because they got tryouts in the NFL and then they were able to, leave their contracts. And that was kind of a loophole that was in that. So we could see a couple guys from the XFL, from the USFL potentially get drafted who were part of the NFL. Now, the thing is like guys that didn't make the NFL jump, like the Brian Scott and potentially Jordan Ta'amu. What was interesting, I was going to freak out if Ta'amu was going back to St. Louis, but I was like, I don't think that's possible. Now, Jordan, remember, he was the Tampa Bay Bandits quarterback. When they announced Memphis, which Memphis is replacing Tampa, so the Memphis Showboats, which I think that's my new team, they mentioned Brady White, who was a former Memphis quarterback, which that makes sense, but no Jordan Ta'amu. Does that mean he's coming to the XFL too? I mean, there's a lot of good quarterbacks, and a lot of these teams already have two quarterbacks. So it's going to be really fascinating to see how this all shakes out. But yeah, the USFL, CFL, spring football war is upon us, and it's great. It's good for players and everything else. Analyze and educate. So I feel like Sloter wouldn't go to the XFL unless he knew he'll start. I thought he was the MVP until he got hurt. So yeah, I would be stunned if he wasn't a starter. And really, I mean, for Stoops, that they've got a good quarterback there. Jared says, I saw the promo clip, and at the 40-second mark, I laughed really hard. I'm glad for you. Thank you, Jared. Yes, at the 40-second clip of the promo about tonight's XFL Path to the Draft, XFL Draft, at the 40-second mark, there's an article written by myself, and that's in the headlines, and that's really cool. So who knows what we'll find out tonight, if there's Mike Mitchell clips or, who knows what. But, the thing is that people are really going to start to pay attention today and really focus tomorrow and learn about XFL News Hub and all the different podcasts that are out there and YouTube channels and who are the writers. And so this is like our super big season before we get into the regular season. The draft was huge back in 2020, and so that's why we're doing the full coverage this time. Richard checking in says the league hit a home run on the quarterbacks. I agree. No Cardell Jones, Brandon Silvers. People were kind of like, BJ Daniels, I wish he would come back because I thought he was really stepping up in Seattle. No Landry Jones, no Matt McLoyne. So, and Taylor Cornelius is in the CFL. No Cole McDonald either. We didn't see his name called. I'm surprised he wouldn't wind up in Seattle. Richard says, I can't wait to see who is the first pick. Rashard Davis in 2020 was okay at best. Now, Rashard Davis didn't play. He wound up getting picked up by the Tennessee Titans and then never kind of played in the league. He stuck with them for a while. How funny would it be if he was picked next? He was picked again. It will be real interesting to see. And it has to be somebody that is going to be long-term but he got picked up. So, we'll have to see how all this plays out. There is going to be guys and if you checked out our video with Brandon Anderson and Mike Mitchell, we talked about, guys that are going to get picked up. They're going to get picked up by NFL franchises. And there's going to be guys that are selected tomorrow that, aren't interested in the league. So, that their, agent put them in, that kind of stuff. So we'll see about that. But I think the problem last time was because the AAF folded, the XFL kind of changed their contract stuff. Everybody knows what the contract is at this point. So I don't know if we'll have that as much this go round. Richard says, but every team is going to be built starting with the quarterback. The draft is going to be interesting. Can't wait to see the new uniforms. I agree with that as well. Ask who you think is the best quarterback. He says Eric Dungey. He's going to light up the league. I hope so. JJ the meme says, I thought they starred more of the draft at 10 tonight. No, that's the Path to the Draft is the TV show. Tomorrow is the draft live coverage on XFL News Hub. Nate on Facebook said, excellent interviews. Enjoyed hearing them both. Thank you very much. Jay says, Ben Dominici is going to be the best QB in the league, hands down. Denzel says, I hope he does. I love to see Tamu back in St. Louis. And then JJ says, wait, they took Tampa away as the USFL team? Yes. Yes, my friend. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. All right, quickly, let's go through the social media stuff, get you wrapped up, hang out with the wife and kids before you get to watch the show tonight. Let's see here. First, let's get to the Facebooks real quick. I got my picture out there, ready for some XFL quarterback to find a home. Starts at 2. I got my Zoa drink. Nate says, let's go. Got to have my Zoa. I've got my Zoa all for tomorrow. I got lots of Zoa. About the XFL draft week coverage with Drive to the XFL draft on tonight. Lokic says, always hurts my eyes to see Disney popping where it shouldn't be. What's wrong with Disney? I love Disney. Super Disney fan. And about the draft, ESPN had written some more stuff about the QB assignments. He said, Jimmy says, really look at Danucci. He has a great mobility and is smart, great arm, just needs more work. Wayne says one of the XFL wins is the fact that USFL played last year and provided a lot of film of non-NFL players. Everything is taking shape for a great XFL experience. True there, my friend. True there. On to the YouTubes real quick. Let's see here. About our video from yesterday. Baldwin says, was Brandon filming from a disco club? LOL, thanks. LOL, thanks for the video. No, I think that was his basement. You'll have to ask him. Saifina says, the fact that Cole Kelly and Davis Cheek aren't getting more buzz is kind of confusing to me. They both were great in college and seem ready to make the jump to the pros. Maybe it's because they went to smaller schools and the XFL wants big-name guys, but I don't think they would care more about who's the best option, not just name recognition. Got to play good football to draw crowds, and these kids can be stars. Now, remember, other players can get, there could be more quarterbacks taken in the Thursdays section of the draft. Aaron Allen says, no Colin Kaepernick, nope. And Kyle says, King is gone to the Panthers. That is correct. David says, future XFL defensive champion subscribing. Hold the door. That was from yesterday. I said, hold the door. That's what we did here while we were waiting for the XFL to return. George says, I hope the uniforms are released after the draft, so maybe a Thanksgiving surprise. Maybe. I think that they got a lot of push this week. I think they'll be fine. I don't think we'll get anything next week. And then they'll take a break for the Thanksgiving, and then things are going to really ratchet up. 9-8 Leash says, when do we get to see the uniforms? I would say in December. That's my guess. December is my personal guess. Let's see here. On the Instagrams, talking about the QBs. Let's see here. That is not loading up. Never mind about that. All right, let's take we got a phone call.
Alrighty, so I just had a couple questions. Wanted to ask you what you think, when you think the Hub City thing for the XFL is going to be over. I know we haven't started the season yet. Want to know when you think it's going to be over, when you think the teams are going to be at their respective cities. I was thinking we might be seeing something about, we might be seeing them go to their respective cities maybe about 3 seasons down the line, maybe 5 at the most. I'm being realistic about it. I think it's going to be about 3 seasons. Kyle Sloter, my next question. Kyle Sloter, I don't know what you thought about him going to the Renegades. I was expecting the Defenders or the Guardians, stupid name, but whatever. Other thing, I want to know what you thought about the draft the QB selections before the draft for today at 2 o'clock our time. I know you're on the East Coast. AJ McCarron, I was really happy that he came to St. Louis. They were my original team in 2020. Love the guy. He's from my hometown of Mobile, Alabama, which I will be moving back to in probably I would hope within the next 2 years. But I'm excited about A.J. McCarron going to St. Louis. I think he's going to bring a lot of energy to the team. He did play for Alabama. He was a redshirt backup in his freshman season, which we won a national championship. And that was 2010. 2011, we didn't win anything, and then he was our starter for 2012 and 2013, which we won back-to-back national championships. Obviously, he's a great quarterback. Just wanted to get your thoughts on him, too. Love you, man.
All right, man. Appreciate the phone call. Always peace and love here at XFL News Hub. Just a fun, chill community. And so 2 parts of your question. Number 1, the deal with the teams actually moving to their home locations full time. It's interesting. Look at what the USFL did. In 1 year, they played everything in Birmingham. Now year 2, they're splitting it up. Now they'll have 3 locations. Supposedly Detroit will be the other one. Their things are moving. Will they go to all home locations in year 3? We'll just have to find out. I don't think so. Maybe they'll add a 4th location. Maybe that's the deal. In 20, I would maybe do 4 locations. So then that brings back to the XFL. I think we could see the hub situation for probably maybe a second year. They put in a lot of money to get this thing started. I don't think they're going to want to spend more money in year 2. Do you really need to practice and have all that stuff in the same home location? I'll be curious of what the players think about it after the season, because essentially every game is an away game. You got to fly to your home location. But, just being everybody being centered in maybe they would add 2 teams, but I don't think, I think for now, they're just going to stay, I would say 2 years, I think, at least in the hub model before maybe they're coming home. Unless like a place like St. Louis is like, because you got to remember practice facilities, insurance, housing, all this stuff is expensive. If I were the XFL, I would hold off on year 2 and not do it. If anything, maybe add another team or 2 to the mix, but not another Texas team. I think they're going to stick with this model at least for 2 years. I mean, and see how it goes. I don't think we'll go to home locations just yet. Kyle Sloter, love him. I think Renegades. I mean, he's a guy who's plug in and go. Some of these guys are younger. That they don't have the experience that he does. Now he's with Bob Stoops. I'm sure they're going to do this kind of air raid offense or something like that. And they could be lighting it up. So we'll see what goes down with Sloter. But I mean, he was my MVP till he got hurt in the USFL. I would have him as an early MVP. I mean, as one of the top QBs. If you're playing fantasy football on News Hub Fantasy, which I'll show right here, to me, Kyle Sloter is the guy that I would want first. Eric Dungey maybe second. I mean, or is that me just being a homer pick? I don't know. But that's what we got. So go to News Hub Fantasy, sign up for that. You can play fantasy football. Also, make sure that you head over to Reddit and hang out with us there, the Alt Football community. Just look up Alt Football. Hey, we're also looking for somebody to design a logo for that. So if you want to be the guy to design a logo, or if you want to even help moderate the forum, head over to Alt Football. We just started it like a couple days ago. Just kind of an idea for that. All right, my friends. Thanks to you for everybody hanging out in the chat. Remember, we are live all day tomorrow. I am super excited about this draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm like, when am I going to eat? Am I going to talk the whole time? So we'll find out, but we're just going to wing it and we'll have fun with that. So make sure you're with us tomorrow. And then we'll have a recap show tomorrow night. So 8 p.m. tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on Thursday night, wrapping this whole thing up, this XFL draft week. We finally have quarterbacks. Now we get to have some players starting tomorrow, which is fantastic. So anytime during any of these shows, email podcast@XFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show, or leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 3. I have some messages already in the queue that people have sent in, and we're going to use that for filler tomorrow. So if you sent some messages, don't worry. We'll read them during the live broadcast. We'll have fun with that. And remember to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. We appreciate all the reviews, especially now because the season is going to be kicking into full gear. And, people are going to start researching and looking up XFL and wanting to find where is the place to go. So give them those reviews. Help us out here. And make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 5,000 followers. I would assume we'll go over the top tomorrow during our live coverage. It would be great to go out on top right now, over 5,000. But that's definitely when I clear 5,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel by the end of this week. Would be great. We are super close. So we appreciate it if you subscribe. We have a lot of fun here. We'll do giveaways. Maybe we'll do some giveaway stuff tomorrow. We'll just have a lot of fun. And because that's what it is. Sports is supposed to be fun. And I always try to remind everybody, hey, man, it's not that serious. It's supposed to be fun. Relax. I have to say that all the time, my friends. All right, we will see you tomorrow during the XFL draft. Hang out with us live on YouTube. We will not be putting it audio version anywhere, but this will be on. We'll do this episode in podcast form. All right, that's it for me, folks. Again, always mahalo. God bless to everybody out there, and we will see you all later.